All right, everyone, welcome to our March City Council meeting. It's time to call the meeting to order. I apologize for the delay. We are ready to begin. We're going to start, if you don't mind, with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then Mr. Anderson is going to bless our meeting. If you could all stand.
Lord, we gathered this evening in the season of rebirth and in the season of Easter, and let us look at this season as a chance for new beginnings and for that spring season that brings joy to so many of us with the rebirth of your Son, with the rebirth of the landscaping and our trees and other rebirths that are possible this time of year. Please look over our meeting. Please look over our citizens. Please protect those that protect us, those first responders, our police, our marshals, and those that protect our country. Please let us do this evening the will that you desire for our community. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. First order of business is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda? Have a motion from Mr. Perkle. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Page. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Next, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes for the council meeting and executive session on February the 12th and the work session on February the 5th. Is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes? Have a motion from Mr. Page. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Anderson. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. Great. All right, next we're going to move on to some proclamations. We have several tonight, and I'll recognize Mr. Anderson first.
Thank you, Mayor. I have the honor to read this proclamation to a good friend, a good neighbor, and somebody who has been a longtime champion of our city and served our city for over 20 years, and that's Mr. Mark Cohen. I'll go ahead and read that. Whereas Mark Cohen, a former member of the Sugar Hill Planning Commission and a longstanding city council member of the city council from 2004 to 2023, he was also elected by his council peers several times as mayor pro tem. And whereas Mark was the founding chair of the Sugar Hill Arts Commission established in 2014, the Sugar Hill Arts Commission was responsible for establishing the Sugar Hill Art Gallery located in the local on West Broad Street. The Art Gallery hosts countless exhibits from local artists from across the region, and his passionate advocacy was instrumental for construction of both the Bowl at Sugar Hill and the Eagle Theater. And whereas Mark spearheaded the city's 75th anniversary celebration, from which spurred the new logo, the Sugar Hill Historic Preservation Commission, Arts Commission, Marshal's Office, Youth Council, Veterans Memorial, and other community building activities. And whereas Mark was very involved in the Georgia Municipal Association, where he served multiple times as president of District 3 Northeast and representative to the University of Georgia Municipal Training Board. And whereas Mark serves as chair of the Gwinnett County Police Citizen Advisory Board, Senior Vice Commander of the Sons of the American Legion Post 127, a Merit Badge Counselor for the Boy Scouts of America, member of both the North Gwinnett High School and North Gwinnett Middle School Councils, and Scholarship Chair of the Gwinnett Student Hockey League, and served in leadership roles for the NGHS Marketing and DECA Advisory Board, Artworks Gwinnett, and the North Gwinnett Schools Foundation. And whereas Mark is a 2018 graduate of Leadership Gwinnett, where he continues to serve as a study group facilitator and board co-chair. And whereas Mark has received a variety of awards and recognitions for government service, including the University of Georgia Carl Vinson Institute of Government Certification of Recognition, Certificate of Achievement, Certificate of Excellence, Certificate of Distinction, Certificate of Dedication, and the Knox Municipal Leadership Institute. And whereas Mark is a marketing and operations professional who has a passion for community involvement, he earned a BA in economics and business from the University of California at Los Angeles and an MBA from San Francisco State University. He and his wife, Marie, are very involved in the community where they live, and their 2 children have grown up. Their children, Seth and Jamie, are both North Gwinnett graduates, are away attending college, and now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and city council of the city of Sugar Hill that they thank Mark for his years of service on city council and the many contributions that he has made while serving. He will always have a place here as a champion for our community. Resolved this 11th day of March, 2024. Mark has read these about 1,000 times, proclamations to teachers and other community champions through the years, so it's only appropriate that finally somebody else has to read one about him this time. So if we could just get some photos up here, that would be great.
I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me, coming from folks that I have so much respect for, and see somebody in the audience who I've known for a lot of years. It really does mean a lot. So thank you very much. Thank you. A lot's happened in 20 years. When I first joined, I started off on the Planning Commission, and I really had to learn about planning and zoning and development. And when I ran for office, as Meg will tell you, it wasn't my intention to run for office. I think Meg was moving at the time, possibly, and Joe Clarino was going to run for office. And, things changed. Joe moved. Next thing I know, I'm running for office, and I called Meg up and said, I'm running for office. And she's like, well, so am I. We're already committed. I don't know what to do here. Ended up running, got elected a few more times, and watched the city grow. There's people who say they love what we've done. There's people who say they don't love what we've done. But the thing is, we built community, and that's what's really important to me, is the fact we built community. I've made a lot of friends living here. Every time we go someplace, we went to dinner the other night, went to the distillery's 3rd anniversary, and just the number of people who you recognize and you talk to, and not just people who live in my subdivision, but people you just know from the community. I think that's important, and that's what community is. So I really appreciate everything that I've got to do over the last 22 years here in the city. I know that everybody sitting up here is doing a great job, and they're going to continue to do a great job. And I'm going to be a tremendous supporter of the city. And I just hope that things continue to go the way that we all want them to, the way that the people want it to. We take a lot of input. So thank you guys again very much. It really means a lot to me. So thank you so much. I'll yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. Thank you, Mr. Anderson, for recognizing him. I have the next one on the list, and that is a proclamation for the Lanier High School Longhorn baseball program. One of the parents approached us several weeks ago and asked us to do a City of Sugar Hill night, and we're going to be doing that next Friday, March the 15th at 5:55. That is a strange time to start a baseball game, but that is the time that they start. They'll be playing Jackson County, and they're really trying to just raise awareness about the baseball program. It's a great program. They went to finals last year. Ultimately didn't make it all the way through, but they had a fantastic season, and they're doing great this year as well. And so I have a proclamation that we're going to be reading next Friday night that I'll read right now. They're not here tonight, excuse me, but I'm going to read it just so that you're aware of it. So, whereas Lanier High School opened in the fall of 2010, and whereas the students of Lanier High School come from Lanier Middle School, which is fed by Sycamore Elementary School, Sugar Hill Elementary School, and White Oak Elementary School. By the way, all of those are within the city limits of Sugar Hill. Whereas the Lanier cluster has a reputation for both academic and athletic excellence, and whereas the Lanier High School Longhorns baseball program is well recognized for producing outstanding scholastic athletes, and whereas the Longhorns baseball program develops lifelong leaders through academic and athletic excellence, and whereas the Longhorn baseball program has produced over 20 college baseball players as well as 1 Major League Baseball player since they opened as a school, which is pretty outstanding. Whereas the Longhorns baseball program is led by an outstanding coaching team that includes coaches Colby May, Chris Hawkins, Trevor Juneau, Carson Alday, and Jeremy Matthews, and a whole bunch of parents that are actively involved as well. Whereas the Longhorns baseball program's success is built upon a strong foundation of partnership between Lanier High School and the Dugout Club, led by both parents and volunteers. And now, therefore, be it resolved by the Mayor and City Council of the City of Sugar Hill that we commend the coaches, players, parents, and volunteers that are all involved in supporting the Lanier High School Longhorns baseball program, and declare the 15th of March as Lanier Longhorn Baseball Day in the City of Sugar Hill. And I appreciate everybody for signing the proclamation. And we will give that out again next Friday, and they'll be excited to receive it, I know. All right, next, I have a proclamation for Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. We are the fortunate beneficiary of a new business in Sugar Hill called GI North. I'm very excited to have those medical professional jobs in our community. And they ask us to raise awareness about colorectal cancer. And so I'm going to read the proclamation and then ask Jason Miller if he would come up in a minute to tell us a little bit about GI North and what they're going to be doing here in Sugar Hill. All right. Whereas colorectal cancer death is among the second leading cause of cancer death among men and women combined in the United States. And whereas colorectal cancer almost always develops from precancerous polyps in the colon. And whereas screening tests can detect precancerous polyps so that they can be removed before they turn into cancer, and screenings can also find colorectal cancer early when treatment works best. And whereas everybody age 50 to 75 should get screened, and the U.S. Preventative Task Force recommends screenings beginning at age 50 and age 45 or earlier if you have a family history. And whereas anyone who believes that they are at risk for colorectal cancer should learn their family history and ask their doctor if they should begin screenings before age 50. And whereas millions of people in the United States are not getting screened as recommended, which could risk the chance of preventing colorectal cancer, or to find it early when treatment is most likely to lead to a cure. Now, therefore, the Mayor and City Council of Sugar Hill do hereby proclaim March 2024 as Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month and encourage all citizens to obtain the appropriate screenings as recommended. Mr. Miller, would you mind coming up? And I will take this up front.
Thank you very much, Mayor Hembry, members of the council, for having us here this evening and also recognizing this very important cause that we always try and raise awareness each March, which, as you've just heard, is recognized as Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. I serve as the Chief Operating Officer at GI North, and I'm here tonight with Dr. Betty Lee and Ms. Denise Rumbaugh, also from our office. We did start operation in Cumming in September 2011, but we are very fortunate to have opened a Sugar Hill location that Mayor Hembry mentioned a moment ago, just across the highway, actually, in November of last year. So we are set up for 2 providers, but it's a full-time clinic location for us. We have a state-of-the-art endoscopy center in Cumming, and we're very, very happy to be here. We had a groundbreaking a while back. Mr. Mayor, you were there for that, and we have a ribbon cutting coming up later this month, but we're very fortunate and also very happy to be part of the Sugar Hill community. It's been a very good move for us, and you all have welcomed us with open arms, so thank you for that. We have about 105 employees total, and as Mayor Hembree just mentioned, part of the purpose of raising awareness for Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month is so that people do obtain their routine screenings. Just a couple of numbers related to that. Colonoscopy is the standard screening method as the most effective method for screening for colorectal cancer. And research has shown that screening through colonoscopy can decrease colon cancer rates by up to 69% and decrease death rates by up to 88%. And very interesting to note is a 5-year survival rate for a stage 1 or stage 2 colorectal cancer is 90%. However, it drops very drastically to 14% for a stage 4 diagnosis. So again, the screening, routine screening is very, very important. And again, we appreciate you all taking the time to recognize this important thing for us this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. And if you'll stay right there, we'll come up and take a picture with you if you don't mind. All right, we will now move on to reports, and I'm going to apologize. I have a cough drop in my mouth, and so I have a little bit of a cough that I cannot seem to get rid of, and reading this proclamation was a struggle to get through. Next, we're going to move on to reports. Mr. Hartley, I think you're up first, the city attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no report.
He never has a report. All right, next we'll move on to city council, and I'm going to start with Mr. Page.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have too much of a report today. Really, only thing is looking forward to the 85th anniversary of our wonderful, sweet city. Hopefully have some folks coming out for that. But other than that, I don't have anything else for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Page. Ms. Avery, you're up.
I guess I'll make up for Mr. Page, since I have several things for tonight. And first of all, I would like to say thank you, everyone, for coming to the meeting tonight. It is always great to see members of our community interested in our meetings, and I really appreciate you being here. And also, Gary Perkle, Joshua Page, and I attended the Georgia Municipal Association's newly elected officials training institute in Athens at the end of February. Much of what we learned can definitely be applied to our new positions on the council, as we had classes on finances, planning and land use, budgets, and transportation and public works. It was a great opportunity to become more informed and aware of state policies and local best practices in conjunction with our city charter. And many thanks to our Assistant City Manager, Troy, and Street Department Director, Joe Appling, for restoring weekly yard debris and limb pickup. Be sure to check the city website for details, since Mondays will be for leaves and yard clippings and limbs and brush will be picked up the day before your trash pickup day. So that's really great to have that weekly service back on schedule. You will notice that there is an agenda item for nominating 2 new members of the Planning Commission tonight. And I would like to encourage everyone to check the city website often and see how you can get involved with Sugar Hill on several different levels. and not necessarily by making a commitment to serve on a board. For example, the Development Authority, also known as the Riverlands Authority, is meeting this Wednesday, the 13th, from 4:30 to 6:30 at the PVS Trail parking lot on Highway 20. This meeting will talk about the land that is owned by Sugar Hill by the Chattahoochee River, and this meeting is open to the public. Also, the Arts Commission meeting is tomorrow night at 6 o'clock in the Art Gallery on West Broad Street. And this Friday, the 15th, is another Gwinnett County Digital Learning Day for Gwinnett students, and the E-Center is open from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Internet access, tutoring is available, and the basketball court is open. Students are welcome with a parent or guardian. Another important open house, which I'm sure Troy will be discussing, is on March 19th from 5:30 to 7:30 to review downtown streetscape improvements, and citizens are highly encouraged to attend. This is an opportunity for our residents to get information about this project, possible improvements, and discuss the goals of the project with the project management team. And as I say, Troy will probably have more details along with a picture with his report. Next week, the Historic Preservation Society meets on Wednesday, March 26th at 6:30. We hope, as Josh mentioned, everyone will be able to attend the 85th Sugar Hill birthday celebration on March 24th from 1 to 4 p.m. downtown. Part of that celebration, sponsored by the Sugar Hill Preservation Society, includes a rededication ceremony of the original 1940 cornerstone of the Sugar Hill School. All of these events are posted on the city website. You can also keep informed by signing up for the Sugar Hill Snapshot newsletter, which is sent out monthly by email. The last thing I'd like to mention is that our district commissioner for Gwinnett County, Matthew Holtkamp, District 4, our district, he's having a town hall meeting on March 27th to discuss the potential transit referendum, as well as updates in public safety and transportation projects affecting Gwinnett County and our district. This meeting will be at Seconder High School in Beaufort from 6 to 8 p.m. He is participating in 2 other town hall meetings on the 18th, jointly with District 3 Commissioner Mr. Watkins at the Gwinnett Justice and Administration Center, and on March 21st with District 1 Commissioner Cardin at Suwanee City Hall. So I would really encourage everyone to try to attend one of those meetings, because as important as it is to know what's going on in Sugar Hill, what happens in Gwinnett County also affects us. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Avery. You put Mr. Page to shame. All right, Mr. Anderson, you're up next.
And thank you, Mayor. I'll just, since Meg has already mentioned the Riverlands Authority meeting for this month, I will say thank you to Steve Gressley, Denise Hurl, and Claire Weatherly in our planning department for organizing this walk. If you do join us, I would just encourage you to bring appropriate attire and shoes for walking through the woods and maybe getting a little muddy, because it's right close to the river, and it's woods and creeks and all sorts of things. So if you do join us, please feel free, and please dress appropriately. That's all I've got, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Mr. Perkle.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of comments. I'd like to echo what Meg said. We attended the newly elected officials class with Meg and Josh. I got some good information there. I've been working with the Assistant City Manager, Mr. Basesh, on some stains in our subdivision roads from Waste Management. They had a leaky hydraulic system on their truck. I hope to see that resolved somewhat soon. Also thankful that we were able to get the additional street staff so that we can start picking up the limbs each week. And then in addition to that, we're looking forward to, at our next month's work session, to have a list of additional streets that we hope to be paving in addition to the ones that were previously announced. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perkle. And I'm up next for the mayor's report, and I do have just a quick PowerPoint, as I usually do. I think Mr. Awana's going to bring it up. All right, very quickly, if you could go ahead and progress to the first slide that has a picture. Just wanted to acknowledge Councilmember Hicks, who's not able to be here today. He's actually in Washington, D.C. with some of our youth. And he has been actively involved in an enrichment academy that has about 20 young men from Lanier Middle School in it. We've had a couple great meetings this past month, including a day where we learned how to tie ties, which I still have trouble with, even at almost 50 years of age. But they did a great job at it. And of course, you can see Councilmember Hicks just spending some quality time with the boys. Next slide, please. Next, I just wanted to raise awareness about this. We are partnering with the Lanier Cluster Schools on March the 23rd to do an event highlighting all the schools here in the bowl. I'm very excited about that. They have invited parents and students and teachers and principals and school staff, and so it's going to be a big day here in downtown Sugar Hill, and I hope that if you have the time, you'll come out to the downtown area and just show the support that we have for the Lanier Cluster Schools. Next slide, please. Next, I just wanted to recognize a couple of Eagle Scouts. We have an amazing Boy Scout troop here in Sugar Hill, 1534, and they turn out a lot of Eagle Scouts. And Arthur Nicholson and Nathan Lewis in this last month had their Court of Honor to receive their Eagle Scout designation, and I just wanted to acknowledge them because they both did projects in Sugar Hill, as many of the young men do. Next slide. Next, just wanted to highlight something that we, again, are partnering with our schools on. There's a new concept that's kind of being utilized, at least within the Lanier Cluster, and I think system-wide, and that is more of a local focus for school trips or for field trips. And so they have reached out to us, all three of the elementary schools, and talked to us about doing some field trip programs here at City Hall and at Gold Mine Park so that they can learn civics, but also learn a little bit about our gold mining history. The first group that we have coming out is on Thursday, and that is all of the fourth graders from White Oak Elementary School. They'll be spending time here at City Hall, and then they'll be taken by bus over to Gold Mine Park, and they're going to receive a gold panning demonstration from Otis, who is Bill Harding, who's a volunteer in our community that knows a lot about gold mining and gold panning. We also will have Sugar Hill Elementary School and Sycamore Elementary School coming in the next couple weeks, and then in May, the second graders from all three schools will come out for a similar program. Kindergarten and first grade, they're learning about gardening and the environment and sustainability, and they're going to be doing programs with some of our community garden volunteers out at the community garden. So very excited about the opportunity for these kids to learn about community and to kind of get that sense and feel of community at a young age. So, and I think I might have another slide or two. Sorry, I missed this. So one part of that is doing a video series on our history. Jim Wright is a social studies teacher at Lanier Middle School, and he has a drone, and he's really good with photography and videography, and he's been making videos for our school kids so that they can learn about our history as well. And I might have, that's it for me. All right, so next we're going to move on to Ms. Whittington, the city clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. We have no report from the clerk's office this month.
That's unusually brief. Next we'll move on to the city manager, Mr. Radford.
Thank you, Mayor. I submit our month in review that was available in the back of the room. But I do want to highlight a few things in the report, particularly the plaza behind us. you can see that the transformation of the plaza is started with the deconstruction of the ice rink. The ice rink was here from mid-November until, I guess, third week of February. Had its best year ever, over 25,000 visitors, and which helps all the businesses during the winter months, which is nice. I appreciate that, that shout out for Troy and Joe as it relates to the weekly pickup of yard debris. I also want to extend my thanks to City Council for putting money in the budget, the 2024 budget, for us to buy new equipment so we could actually get another crew going. Joe continues to struggle with, not struggle, but we're having to juggle personnel until we get everybody on board. It's hard to hire people these days. But all the equipment is here, and we're deploying it, and we're really appreciative of y'all's support and those shout-outs about what the good work they're doing. I want to talk a little bit about, let me get to this next page here. In the bowl, if you are on the back of the promenade of the East Center and you look out, you'll see a new mural, public mural that was painted on a wall that's on the opposite side of the pond by Kim Pitts, and it features the blue heron that made its home in the pond for many years. I think I'll see a lot of people out there walking and stopping and taking a look at it, and that's good. Everybody's talked about the birthday celebration. It's amazing that it'll be the 85th. I came here just for when we were doing the 75th, so that's time flies. But we will also be announcing on that day our full concert series, both for the bowl as well as the theater. We'll have an announcement for the theater early next week for one of the artists, but be on the lookout for those. You noticed that Mayor Pro Tem Hicks is not here tonight. He, along with Chase Rehak and Victoria Richburg of our staff, are in Washington, D.C. for the NLC, and the whole Youth Council is with them. It's a great opportunity for the youth of Sugar Hill that are giving a lot of hours to participate in our Youth Council, to be with youth councils from across the country. And we're pleased that we're able to help make that happen. The sweet spot is having some adjustments made to the second floor to help improve the premium desk space that are up there. They'll give them more privacy, increase workstation space, and basically just overall enhance the tenant experience. And what I want to do now, with your permission, I'm going to call on Diane, Chief Marshal, to come up and give us a public safety update, and then we will transition to Troy to give us a construction and operations report, and that will conclude my report. Thank you.
Welcome,
Mayor,
Chief
City
King.
Council. I just wanted to give a brief update on our activities for the last month. We had a total of 1,714 activities logged on our daily activity sheets for the marshals. That includes residential area checks, business area checks of city parks and assets, as well as 25 community events. And some of those community events were mentoring at White Oak Elementary, Coffee with a Cop, Digital Learning Day at the East Center, and Sports with Kids at White Oak Elementary. This Friday, in fact, we are hosting a Coffee with a Cop from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at Chin Chin. It is in downtown Beaufort, but it is an awesome coffee house, and they've been generous enough to invite us out. So we do encourage everyone to come out and just come to meet the marshals and raise any questions or concerns they have with areas that they live in within the city of Sugar Hill. We're continuing to monitor illegally parked vehicles. Beginning April 1st, we will start issuing citations for those violators, because we found that with 2 years of issuing tag warnings and tagging vehicles, it's just not working. So unfortunately, we have to go that route. And Last month, we did assist GCPD in trying to locate a fleeing suspect. We are fortunate enough to be connected to them through the radio system in their dispatch system. So we heard it go out. We immediately gave assistance and helped set up a perimeter. Unfortunately, the individual got away. I think he got through the perimeter before we were completely set up. But we have a great working relationship with Gwinnett County Police. And in fact, they assisted one of our marshals when he interrupted 2 thefts in progress and some criminal trespass in some construction sites. So we continue to have a great relationship with them.
Thank you, Chief King. Mr. Besesh, I think you're up next.
Thank you. I would direct your attention to the management report, which has a more complete list of projects and activities under construction. The first one, and mostly the one that's affecting the downtown, is the Alton Tucker Boulevard extension. The contractor was able to complete much of the work that caused the detour and road closure during the month of January in mid-February. They have completed the binder and are working on the traffic signal at Highway 20. We have, as you can see in the aerial photo, accumulated significant landscape areas on the sides of the road that we are lining up a landscape contract to get the installation started in March or April. And so that will dress up that corner. And then you'll see some additional activities this week with the paver installation and the rest of the signal equipment being installed. The less exciting projects are ones like the golf course cell tower, which excruciatingly took us 4 years to get from re-advertising the lease for that cell tower to the transition to a new tower operator. Unfortunately, it just took a while with the process involving the carriers for that. Hope it hasn't interrupted any of your cell service in the western part of Sugar Hill. As you turn through the rest of the pages of the document, I will go ahead and own up to the copy for stream bank restoration is incorrect. We're not using federal highway funds for stream bank restoration. I do apologize for that. But the photo next to it on the left is correct. The stream bank on the east side of Richland Creek is eroding close to the sidewalk location and is the reason why we're pursuing that project. One other item I did want to call your attention to as you keep turning your pages through there, we have a roadway repair and resurfacing contract that is in the hands of Garrett Paving. It was awarded last month for those 16 streets that are listed, and we are waiting to hear from Georgia DOT about additional state funding for that program. Once we know the dollar amount, we'll be able to present additional streets for consideration in that contract. As I've talked through those matters, I did want to mention the downtown Sugar Hill Streetscape project and the open house that is planned for the 19th. We will be presenting a concept board that was prepared by our consultant, which outlines some of the traffic calming measures, the streetscape elements, and pedestrian safety initiatives that we'll be pursuing as a part of that project. And it may take a minute to get this to pull up. My apologies here. The concept board is available on the website. If you'll look down at the calendar for the month of March, you'll be able to find that the document that hopefully projects onto the screen, there you go, is available for you to review, and you can zoom in. I promise you'll be able to read the text and the copy there, so you can read through the options that exist. None of these options are set in stone. We're looking at opportunities to enhance the pedestrian experience and make it a safer place for the community to gather, to walk around, and enjoy the downtown. We are also looking at parking and how it interacts and relates to pedestrian safety. We also will take a look at the roundabout and other elements of the geometry of West Broad Street that make it difficult to navigate. So this is the focus of the open house meeting, and we'll be taking input. We'll be making ourselves available to discuss the scope and limits of the project. That concludes the construction report.
All right, and I think that concludes the city manager's report, and we have no youth council members here tonight, so we'll skip over that. And we'll move on to citizens and guest comments, and this is an opportunity for citizens and guests to have up to 3 minutes to express anything that they'd like to about Sugar Hill. Is there anybody that would like to take advantage of that time?
I would.
Yes, sir.
I promised myself I wasn't going to speak tonight, and I'm going to do it.
And sir, if you could just give your name and address for the record.
My name is Rusty Sandberg. I live at 5869 Sycamore Ridge Drive in beautiful downtown Sugar Hill. The dump. I have lived here since of 99. I didn't realize I was moving next to a dump. I used to come up to meetings up here, and I'm just curious to know what happened where we would, complain about the dump, and y'all would try to do something about it, but then it's turned to the point where, we don't control it anymore. And I get it, that y'all don't have anything to do with it, but if you had a neighbor that was smelling really bad, you could do something about that. And I was wondering if the city council could maybe come up with an idea on what we could do about the dump.
You might, if you don't mind, and
It smells.
if,
And Sugar Hill has a great history of dumps. You've
Sir,
got
I
the
would-
golf course.
Yes.
You have the dump that was closed by the EPA, which I understand has been mitigated, but
I appreciate that. What I was going to ask you, if you could tell us what dump you're referring to, because I think none of,
the dump that I know of, which is the Ridgeland Creek dump,
you got it.
is there another one? I'm sorry.
We were just curious, because some people do confuse our old dump with that dump, and I just wanted to make sure that we were clear on your comment.
I guess the only dump that's still open, which I get belongs to Buford,
It does not belong to Buford.
or
It's a,
whoever
it's a,
controls it.
yes, sir. And during public comment, we're really not supposed to debate issues, and it's just supposed to be public comment. But I do want to try to answer your question. I think it's probably a little bit too detailed to probably answer at this point in time. But if you could maybe stay around or reach out to us at another point in time. Yes, sir, Mr. Perkle.
And just add one comment. If you're referring to an issue with smell, there was an issue there several years ago. I'm not saying there's not one now. I'm just saying there was one. This is going back 10 or 15 years. And at that time, they were supposed to be covering at night, I believe, with dirt, and they were covering it with a tarp, and it led to a lot of buzzards and other issues. So there was some action that was taken by EPA or someone, they corrected that. So if there's a smell issue, there may be a way to address it. Obviously, we have no authority over that, but we can try and help direct you in the right area.
Sir, and thank you.
I'll after the meeting or make another comment.
And we appreciate you taking the time to be here and to providing comments. Is there anybody else that would like to take advantage of this time? All right, I don't see anybody else, so we're going to close citizens and guest comments, and we'll move on to old business. Item number 1, Mr. Awana, I believe that is you. And we did hear this at the work session, but if you don't mind, for those that might be new in the audience, if you could just give a brief overview to us.
We're presenting an amendment to the zoning ordinance, reducing the building height and removing some density bonuses in the RS72, R36, and CBD zoning districts. Just to summarize the revisions that we're proposing, we'll have a 3-story maximum for all the residential zoning districts. We removed the specific maximum heights in the Appendix C it's our supplemental use provisions and design guidelines for certain zoning and those uses. We've put in an 35-foot maximum height to the R36 zoning category, and we've removed the density bonus that pertained to alley access, residential subdivisions, and we cleaned up those footnote references. For the central business district, there was an exception to the 70-foot maximum height, so we removed that reference to the exception that provided for buildings up to 130 feet, kind of right around this block that we're in now, right around City Hall, and then that tapered down to 84 feet out towards the intersections of Alton Tucker Boulevard and Highway 20, where West Broad Street and Alton Tucker Boulevard and Peachtree Industrial Boulevard and West Broad Street and Highway 20. And then we added a design standard that would require a step back in the building facade for any building that's over 41 feet or 3 stories, whichever is less.
Thank you, Mr. Awana. And I want to say how thankful I am to Mr. Perkle and Mr. Anderson and others that provided a lot of input into this. So before I open up the public hearing, are there any questions or comments from City Council?
One comment quickly. I think the changes to R36 provide some good protections for the residential areas, and the change in the central business district provides some protections for downtown, and also kind of accounts for the height of the buildings that are already here as the focal and center point, and then would kind of taper down from there, as opposed to if they built at these levels, it'd kind of be like a bowl. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perkle. All right. Anybody else? All right. We will now move on to the public hearing, public comment portion of it. And I will start with the first 10 minutes for those that would wish to speak in support of the zoning ordinance amendment. I'm going to ask Mr. Hartley to keep track of the time. Yes, sir. You're welcome.
Good evening. My name is James January. I live at 1282 Frontier Drive, Chicago. Just generally speaking, there's a lot of detail here, obviously, but certainly I am wholeheartedly in support of these changes. I think it's very important to put some limitations. You know, we certainly don't need a 10 to 13-story building anywhere in Sugar Hill. I don't know if there's one even in Gwinnett County, but I think it's very appropriate to certainly remove that, and then also add these additional height limitations, setbacks, and things that I think would go a long way towards clarifying things and help keep the overall character of the community what we want it to be, more of a small town, hometown type of an atmosphere. And I don't know if it's even the appropriate place to play it, but one of the things, because I know I've mentioned some concern about, I'm a big proponent of home ownership, and obviously home ownership is seemingly to be becoming more and more elusive. I think even Mr. Anderson had made some comments at one time. And one of the things I noticed in the both in the current and the proposed table of sizes and things like that is, for the R72, I noticed it's still 16 and 1800. And I just wondered if that might make sense, that this be a good point to maybe reduce that to 14 or maybe even 1200 for a single story. I think probably for a two-story, it would need to remain at 1800. But that's one thing I think maybe give some consideration to. The other thing too is more of a general statement, but one of the things, because I've followed a lot of rezonings here and in Gwinnett County, and one of the things I noticed has become very common is the reduction of buffers. And certainly I'd encourage the council, the planning department and planning commission to hold their ground on that, if you will, literally and figuratively, because I think it's important, especially if you're going to have some non-residential development or property now abutting a residential area. And I think it's really important to protect the citizens who've lived there for years and things, and their property values and things by maintaining those buffers. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. January. All right, is there anybody else that wishes to speak in support? All right, I see none, so we'll close that time, and we'll move on to the 10 minutes for those that would wish to speak in opposition. And I don't see anybody, so we'll close that time as well. All right, is there a motion from City Council?
I would make a motion to approve as written and described.
All right, I have a motion to approve from Mr. Perkle. Is there a second? Second from Mr. Page. Any further discussion before I call the vote? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. Very good. All right, next we're going to move on to item number 2. That is you as well, Mr. Awana.
This is a request for a change of conditions for a property on Cumming Highway. Address is 5952. It's proposed to be a bank. You can see it just on the edge of the city limits. It was annexed in 2007. And those conditions were placed on the property at the time. You can see there's a one parcel between the existing Jake Johnson's garage and one parcel that's to be a proposed restaurant between the Zaxby's restaurant at the intersection with the Kroger entrance. I believe both properties are to be served by sewer to those who are concerned about that. And the one condition that they're asking to change is in the list of, there's a list of prohibited uses in the zoning conditions that were approved in 2007, and one of them prohibited outdoor speakers. The intention there was, I think, to restrict a drive-through restaurant, and so we've proposed very specific language that would allow the kind of two-way communication with ATM machine and this automated teller machine that's close to the building. Planning Commission recommended approval. Planning staff's recommending to modify those conditions as we're showing here.
Thank you, Mr. Awana. I know we talked about this at work session, but are there any questions or comments of Mr. Awana before I open up the public hearing?
I have just a couple.
Yes, sir.
The first would have been, was there inter-parcel access between those, and the illustration you did show that, so I'm happy about that. The other thing would be, as you're going toward Cumming, if you turn left into the Zaxby's or the storage facility to try and access this facility, there's only a blinking yellow, while there's a solid green that happens the other way to get into Kroger. It's very difficult to access this because of the speed of the traffic that come through, not related to this particular zoning, but if we could see about having a time allotted for a green arrow there as opposed to yellow only, that would be helpful to anyone entering and safely trying to exit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perkle. Good comments. Is there anybody else?
Mr. Awana, did anyone reach out from that community? I guess it abuts too. I mean, any concerns or anything from there? No concerns from me, but I don't live in that cul-de-sac or anything, so not sure if anybody's reached directly out to you.
Not to me directly.
Well, we may have some people here tonight, and we'll open that up in a minute. Is there anybody else that has a question or comment of Mr. Awana? All right, we will open up the public hearing, and I'll start with the 10 minutes for those that would wish to speak in support. And I know that we do have the applicant here. You do not have to speak, but if you'd like to, you're welcome to. Okay, he waves. Is there anybody else here that would like to speak during this time period? All right, we will close this section of time, and we'll move on to the 10 minutes for people that might like to speak in opposition. And I do not see anybody in that category, so we will close that. Is there a motion from City Council?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve, hang on one second, sorry, to approve the request to change the conditions for zoning AX 07-010, retain the previously established conditions with the following modification: no intercoms or speakers except for Bank Branch with a drive-through and/or a drive-up ATM using an interactive teller machine.
Thank you. I have a motion for approval with the conditions outlined from Mr. Anderson. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
I have a second from Ms. Avery. Any further discussion before I call the vote? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. All right, very good. All right, we're going to move on to Planning Commission appointments. We have 2 of those tonight. Are both here? Very good. So we're going to get through both of them, and then I'll swear in the two nominees together, or the 2 recipients of the nomination together. All right, we will start with number 3. That is a Planning Commission appointment for Post 3. The term for that expires on December 31st, 2026. 2026, is there a nomination?
I have a nomination.
Yes, ma'am, please.
I would like to nominate Mark Daniels for the position of Post 3 on the Planning Commission.
All right, I have a nomination for Mark Daniels. Is there any other nominations? Yes, Mr. Anderson.
Mayor, I have a nomination of Jill Hoover for Post 3 of the Planning Commission.
All right, we also have a nomination for Jill Hoover. We'll start with the vote for Mr. Daniels. All those in favor of the appointment of Mark Daniels, please signify by raising your right hand. All right, it is Mr. Daniels. Mr. Daniels, if you'll just wait, and we'll swear you in just a moment. All right, next we'll move on to item number 4. That is the Planning Commission appointment for Post 4. That term expires also on December 31st, 2026. Is there a nomination?
I'd like to make one, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to nominate Brian Shibbs. He's lived in the city for 23 years, lives in Twin Creek, been married to his wife for 29 years, been heavily involved in their church. He's an electrical engineer. He was actually my Sunday school teacher when I first started going to church there. And I think he'd be a great asset to the community, so I'd like to nominate Brian Shibbs for Post 4.
All right, I have a nomination for Mr. Shibbs. Are there any other nominations? All right. All those in favor of Mr. Shibbs, please raise your right hand. Very good. If Mr. Daniels and Mr. Shibbs would meet me up there at the microphone, I'll swear both of you in.
Mark Daniels. Solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Georgia, Charter and ordinances of the City of Sugar Hill, that I will, to the best of my ability, faithfully perform the duties of a member of the Planning Commission, City of Sugar Hill, during my continuance therein, so help me God. Sir.
Don't mind, sign that. And that is it for our agenda. And I'm not aware that we need to go into executive session unless there is a need.
No need for executive session, Mayor.
Very good. I would entertain a motion to adjourn our March City Council meeting if there is a desire to do so. I have a motion from Mr. Perkel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Anderson. All those in favor of adjourning, please raise your right hand. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight.